Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. In this episode I'll be reviewing Dalwhinnie Distillers Edition. So in this video I'm reviewing Dalwhinnie Distillers Edition. It's a whisky I've not had before. It's a Scotch whisky. It's a single malt. It's double matured. Like a lot of the Distillers editions which come from the Diageo group. This one has been matured in Oloroso sherry casks for some of its life. It's a 15-year-old single malt, and like its sibling, the Dalwhinnie 15, it's obviously based on the same recipe and the same liquid. It's just matured for some of its life in those sherry casks. But for full comparison, I'll also be comparing it to the standard 15-year-old, of which I've got a small bottle to taste. So onto the whisky. Right, so it's true to say that I've never had a Dalwhinnie whisky before. I received the Distillers Edition as a Christmas present, and I thought it might be a good idea before I open it and try it in isolation that I compare it against the standard 15-year-old. So I've got benchmarks, so I can see what the liquid was like before the distiller decided to double mature it and put it in those Oloroso sherry casks. This Distillers Edition is distilled 2002, bottled 2017, and is 15 years old, exactly the same as the standard Dalwhinnie. They're both bottled at 43%, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not the same character notes that the standard Dalwhinnie 15 has are carried through, or whether or not the Oloroso completely changes the character of the liquid. But before I nose and taste either of them, let's just have a quick look at the colour. The Distillers Edition is definitely darker. That's this one here. Not much though, only a shade. Yeah, maybe only a shade difference. It's definitely not too much darker. I don't know if these are uncoloured or unchill filtered, but being Diageo, chances are they both contain some colour, and they're both chill filtered. So I'll nose the standard one first, then the Distillers Edition, and then I'll taste them and compare and yeah, see what they're like on the nose. Right, so this is totally new for me. Never smelt a Dalwhinnie. Some of you may remember that Diageo released a Dalwhinnie edition in the Game of Thrones lineup. I wasn't one that got that bottle. That didn't pique my interest, but yeah, this is completely new to me. I'd say definitely seems like there's a hint of smoke in there. It's very, I'd say it's not so light, but it's, yeah, I'm getting charred wood now. It's difficult, it's changing all the time. It's obviously not been in the glass long. I don't normally read tasting notes, but there's one tasting note that I'm aware of from the Dalwhinnie brand that it's supposed to be quite famous for, and that's that sort of heather honey note, and I'm definitely picking that up. There is like a Yeah, there is like sort of an earthy nature, sort of outdoors, but with a hint of sweetness, almost like honeysuckle, or, you know, sort of very sweet flowers. There's a hint of waxiness to this, picking up a hint of crayons. But it's lovely and sweet on the nose, but it's so light, it takes a lot of effort to pull the sweetness through. But I definitely think there's a hint of peat or smoke. Incredibly small amount, if there is. It was the first thing I picked up on. But yeah, I'd say it's almost a floral whiskey. It's quite light and delicate. Doesn't give much away on the nose though for me. So let's try the Distillers edition on the nose. Right, there's definitely a waxiness that comes through, and there's a rounded sort of sherry, dark fruits, like raisins. Not quite Christmas pudding, a bit more like mince pies. But again, it's not too strong. It's quite delicate. Yeah, that sort of sherry has knocked down anything else, I think, on the nose. Yeah, apart from those sort of rounded dark fruits and that waxiness, not getting much more on this. So let's try the Dalwhinnie 15 on the palate for the first time. Really spicy. The pepperiness really attacks the taste buds, but the first flavour that comes through with that is like a hint of peat smoke, followed by a really waxy texture that sort of clings to the palate with that pepperiness. It's definitely got some bite, a hint of tobacco. Very pleasant. I'd say it isn't a light whiskey on its own. There's light flavours in there, but that spiciness really attacks. Could be just the first mouthful, second mouthful. I may well have prepared my palate for, you know, a second dose of whatever's coming in it. It may well go down a lot nicer, but yeah. I wasn't expecting the spiciness. Maybe it needs water, but I probably won't add water on this review. I'm gonna just keep going as it is. I want the full flavour. So let's try it again on the palate. Yeah, that time, not as much spiciness, not as much pepper. I think that first go really set the palate up well. It's a pleasant whiskey. It's soft, but apart from that pepper, it's a soft flavour. There's nothing too strong that comes through. Even that peat smoke, even though it's there, or whatever it is I'm picking up, it's not too strong. Everything is quite soft, but it's not an unpleasant whiskey. it may well need more time in the glass, may well need a few more sips. The finish, there's not much mouthfeel to it, that disappears quite quickly, and the finish is probably short, maybe short medium, because at first time it does linger on the palate a little bit longer. I'll have a glass of water and then we'll move on to the Distillers Edition for comparison. Right, let's see how some Oloroso maturation has added to the flavours. Right, definitely get the sherry. The sherry is really strong, really those sort of rich pudding fruits. It has the pepperiness though as well. It has that peppery prickle that really dominates the palate. A lot more charred oak comes through with this one though. You know, that sort of older, slightly tired charred oak. It's not that fresh. I'm not really picking up the peat smoke. That sort of earthy peatiness just doesn't come through like on the first one. Maybe the Oloroso sort of dampened that down and taken over. But there's definitely a light tobacco note with this one though. So another mouthful and see how it goes. Yeah, I think that time I got sort of almost like a smoky cereal, that barley, that malted barley character from the grain really comes through, and with that a hint of peat smoke. It's an interesting whiskey because it's pleasant, as was the first one. It just, I don't know, it just lacks something. On first impressions, I'm not overly impressed by either. The Distillers Edition, like lots in the Diageo range, is about twice the price of the standard bottling. So you're paying for that almost limited nature, where they've taken a yearly release and they've given it some time in another cask. But is it better than the standard Dalwhinnie 15? Yeah, in my opinion it is, but could I justify spending that amount on a special edition or, you know, yearly release of the Dalwhinnie? Probably not. They're both very nice. I would say for me the Distillers Edition edges it, but right, so I'll sign off with my preferred one of the two, and that's the Distillers Edition. Sláinte. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.